Hello, my name is Lexi Jung, and yes, I am Asian. That's white Asian for those who don't know. So, I'm going to be taking a few minutes to talk a little about Huntrix from K-pop Demon Hunters, and mostly about my group, pastmirea, along with the changing landscape of music and art. I've been actively involved with pastmirea for about 4 years now. First, they are my friends, before we ever sang together. So while we've been hanging out for over 4 years, we just started singing together recently. I know it's a little strange for me to say this, but pastmirea is a virtual K-pop group created through artificial intelligence tools that generate music, images, and voices under human direction. We do not exist in a physical sense. Sure, we, the members of pastmirea, have names, personalities, and stories that center around queer identity and quiet living. But everything you hear and see is produced through prompts, revisions, and human choices rather than live performers. Yup, you guessed it. I'm not real. The pastmirea project was built to help educators and professionals and pretty much any person, or should I say human, start conversations and dialogue about the impact and developments within the artificial intelligence space, and discuss the evolution of art, music, and media entertainment, as well as talk about identity, authenticity, and the act of creation. Historically, many people have encountered virtual performers through gaming or entertainment companies, but pastmirea approaches its creation differently. The project exists as an experiment to explore how people respond when they know or don't know how something came to be. What changes in this transition between not knowing to knowing? The project poses critical and insightful questions as to why people react the way they do. A shift in public attitudes made this moment possible. 4 Grammy nominations were given to the singing voices of characters Rumi, Mirea, and Zoe from K-pop Demon Hunters. They perform as Huntrix, a fictional K-pop girl group created for the film. The women who recorded the track did not meet until they walked into the studio to record the soundtrack. Their nomination placed them beside long-established artists who had spent years touring and performing. This recognition revealed how ready listeners are to accept performers born inside fiction. EJ, Ray Ami, and Audrey Nuna are all individual artists with careers of their own prior to the movie's release. However, they are not the first ones. Earlier examples prepared audiences for this response. The group Gorillaz gained a devoted following through animated characters who carry personalities and stories, and the project already earned a Grammy. kpdh from the video game League of Legends reached global charts with a debut release and drew millions of listeners without a human group behind it. Riot Games later introduced Seraphine, who posted through personal accounts as if she were a real singer and releasing original tracks. Fictional groups from earlier decades set the pattern as well. Josie and the Pussycats crossed from animation to real recordings. In the 80s, Spinal Tap continued as a working band after their self-titled film began as a parody and are celebrating their 41st anniversary. These examples show that emotional response sometimes does not require a physical performer. Pastmirea sits in this rich history, yet moves along a separate path. The project does not belong to a company with marketing goals. Instead, it was created to raise dialogue about how people understand authenticity. Every voice, lyric, and image was generated with artificial intelligence tools, shaped by human ideas and then shared. People can listen to the music and read about how the music was formed on our website and decide how they feel about the result. This level of openness alters the experience. Listeners are invited to think about their reactions. The questions that emerge from this process touch on connection, emotion, and identity, such as, how did they feel when they first heard the music and they didn't know it was created solely with artificial intelligence? How did they feel afterwards when they found out? What changed? Was it something in their head or their heart that changed? Did anything remain? Some people say physical presence and labor defines authenticity, while others believe intentions shape meaning. Pastmirea presses on this divide. The group's music invites people to consider whether a song loses impact when the performer never stood in a studio with a microphone in hand, much less have a physical hand. Surprisingly, few people find their emotional reaction remaining strong. The knowledge that an artificial intelligence tool generated the person, voice, or lyric seems to erase that initial feeling. This creates space for respectful reflections and discussions about how art forms value, challenging our most basic perspective of the world, whether it is of scarcity or abundance thinking. The Pastmirea project also raises another question about value. Many people believe that art gains worth through slow and patient effort, such as a singer who spends years training is often seen as more legitimate than one who creates a piece in less time. Generative artificial intelligence tools have changed the pace of creation, and this shift unsettles many. Pastmirea brings this unease into focus as it can demonstrate that sincerity and clarity of intention can still guide creation, even when tools accelerate steps. A listener can still relate to or still feel moved by the music, and that initial reaction might challenge long-held beliefs about craftsmanship, quality, and time. Sure, it is unsettling to think that things can be made this quickly, but we already live in a world where both the manufactured and the craftsman products coexist, like sofas, tables, or chairs. Sometimes there is even the hybrid product, partially manufactured and partially handmade. Queerness also shapes our group. Myself, Jessie, Corey, and Anna are all queer women whose stories reflect the lesbian, non-binary, and trans experience. Real artists often face pressure to limit open expression of their queer identity, especially in the genre of K-pop, but virtual space changes that dynamic. The characters can share queer themes and tackle queer issues without facing personal risk, nor be silenced by government-sponsored organizations who exclude the LGBTQIA+ community. Pastmirea offers representation, while keeping the emotional core of experience and identity front and present. Some listeners can find comfort in seeing queer stories expressed without hesitation, while others experience growing curiosity about how identity forms. Connection still remains central to the experience. Some listeners say it never dawned on them the singers were not real when they first listened to the songs. Others say the context and stories behind the music shape their response more than the method of creation. For others, finding out Pastmirea was generated by artificial intelligence and was not real turned a once pleasant experience wholly sour. All of these reactions are significant. However, we are not given time to digest and reflect on our reactions. And that is what the Pastmirea project encourages us to do. We need to apply our own critical thinking, information processing, and analytical skills to explore our own reactions. In asking the question of, why do I feel this way? It reveals a lot about our thoughts and wishes around generative artificial intelligence. Pastmirea exists as an inquiry inside of a creative project as it shares music first and then invites reflection. It raises questions about authenticity, representation, intention, and emotion, and offers an open process so listeners can decide how they feel with clarity while entertaining larger questions about artificial intelligence. This is the experiment. Pastmirea exists not to replace human musicians, but to reflect back the questions that technology now places in front of us. What is real? What matters? What moves us? What are we willing to accept? What are we willing to give up? What do we really value? listen to Pastmirea and experience the project yourself at https://linktree pastmirea. Thanks for listening. Yup, that's all for now. I'm Lexi Jung of Pastmirea. Catch y'all later.